Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Today I want to talk about medical school, and not just anything about medical school, about the structure or anything like that, but the lessons that I've learned from medical school. Lessons that are outside the anatomy, the physiology of medicine. Medical school, I would say it's a quite interesting experience because it brings out different things in us, and it gives you a time limit where you can shape, nurture, or maybe unlearn some things as time goes by, because it's not like a period that takes 2 years. Minimum in Uganda it takes 5 years, and that's if things have gone very well and there's no pandemic or things like that. Okay, not exactly a pandemic, but things and unfortunate events happening for you during medical school. So a minimum of 5 years, but you can just make it a minimum of 6 years. Yeah, because some medical schools in Uganda are 5.5. Yes. So the first lesson I'd love to talk about is resilience. So medical school pushes us to our limits financially, mentally, physically, emotionally, very many kinds of ways, and there are times when you feel completely drained, yet you still have to show up and perform. You learn that resilience isn't about avoiding failure or hardship, but pushing through despite whatever comes your way. Yeah, because there's always going to be a curveball coming in your life. Like, you cannot think that you've got everything figured out at any point at any moment, because today you might think you figured it out, and yeah, by evening some mishap has happened to throw you off course. Not literally throw you off course, but I think what you decide to do with the curveball can determine whether you stay on course or off course. Another thing that medical school has taught me is to be versatile, to be ready to adapt to any kind of thing. Like, during the clinical years is when you get to see a lot of things happening in medicine. Like, you're getting to see patients, different cases, and aside from that, like, generally the life in medical school can be very unpredictable, despite you having a structure that you have classes from like 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then you have to go to maybe ward and look at some patients. Despite having that structure, medicine still is very unpredictable, and just like that, things don't go always according to plan. You learn to think on your feet, pivot when necessary, and stay open to different approaches. And not just about what happens on ward and in the clinical years. One important thing that I've derived from being versatile is that you cannot put all your eggs in one basket, especially when it comes to medicine. Like, you have to learn how to develop other skills that are outside medicine that might be relevant at some point, but things that you haven't been taught in medical school, you will have to learn how to develop them: network, social skills, financial skills, professional skills, work ethic, things like that. Yes. Then balance. I would love to talk about balance. So having a crazy schedule, the workload in medical school is really, really intense, and burnout is real, very real. So and at some point you realize if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. So whether it's making time for sleep, relationships, hobbies, balance isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Like, you will have to force that balance, and the balance doesn't look like how it's portrayed on social media. At least for medical school, it doesn't look like that every day you schedule an hour of socializing, you go out every day, you read books from this time to this time, you study hard, you have a discussion group. It's hard to put all of it in 24 hours, but you can try to plan like weekly. Like, during the week you allocate time for all the things that you think are important to you. Yes. And hobbies are very important, because being very buried in the books of medicine and not working on yourself, not working on yourself as a person, it affects how you relate with other people and how they relate to you. And that's a very unfortunate thing that I think many people in medical school don't get to realize until maybe when they are done with it or when it's too late, that you have to learn to develop other skills and grow the other things in your life, that and it's not just books. Yeah. So a fulfilled life isn't just about achievement, it's about well-being. Yeah. So health, prevention is always better than cure. I know it's very cliche, but as future doctors, you preach preventive care to patients, but it's also just as applicable to your life, whether it's physical health, diet, exercise, sleep, mental health. Small consistent habits prevent bigger problems down the line. Take care of your body and mind now so that you don't break down later. Of course, I'm not saying when you have exams you don't have to study. You do. You really have to study hard. You need to excel in your exams. So do what you have to do when you have to, but do it cautiously and do it in a healthy manner. Do not overdo it. And I think I'm coming to the last lesson, which I believe resonates so much with myself. From dissecting cadavers, seeing very horrible cases on ward, medical school forces out you to face discomfort. And not just in the clinical years, when you're challenged with these situations in medical school that are outside the hospital, but these situations that expect you to step up your game and challenge them, push past your fears, doubts, grow more, move out of your comfort zone, become more social, network with more people, develop a skill, get a hobby, watch a movie, watch a TV series, learn about something new that's outside medicine. Maybe you get an interest in AI, maybe tech. Yeah, medical school has this system that encourages making people feel like they are never good enough, like nothing is ever good enough. And I believe that if that grows eventually and maybe you're done with medical school some years later, it makes a person have a very poor and bad personality. So I believe it's a time someone can grow themselves, learn more about themselves, adventure, discover new things, and personal enlightenment, because this emits much more positive feelings and satisfaction compared to like maybe getting the best grades in a semester. Yes, medical school, being that it takes literally half a decade, a part of your life is going to be in medical school. It's better if you add some other things in your schedule and you're not just like reading books all day, all night, and your friends are only in class. You don't have friends outside medical school, outside class. You never go out, you never read a book, you don't try to develop yourself and your personality. Yet the patients actually are going to be, your personality is going to mean so much to the patients when we get into the working world. No one wants a doctor who just comes and talks about medical terms, isn't a warm person, isn't nice, and they're just delivering facts and that's it. Yeah. I've given a summarized overview of the lessons I've learned from medical school. I believe there are much more lessons that are in medical school, and if you have any, please drop them in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining me today. Yeah. Bye. See you next time.